I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight, but chose to be here with me, and for that I am forever grateful. I'm a little under the weather today. Kind of started coming down with a little bit of a cold yesterday. Still affecting me right now, but we're going to push forward and go right through this and hopefully have a wonderful and good show. Before we start, I would like to wish a happy birthday to one of our moderators. Sherry Ann Scott is turning 21 today, so she's actually legal to go have a drink now for her birthday. So Sherry, happy birthday to you. You're a great American patriot, and we love you here at the Douglas Ducote Show. And thanks for all that you do, you and your wonderful husband. Tonight's sad breaking news is another Border Patrol agent has been killed. And Joe Biden is got more important things to do than go to the border. Not my words, his. That's what he said when asked why he has not been to the border yet. He said he's got more important things to do than go down there and worry about that border. What a shame. What an absolute shame this man has become. The Border Patrol agent was killed yesterday around 1 a.m. in the morning in an all-terrain vehicle crash while tracking a suspected illegal immigrants on the U.S. border in Texas, according to U.S. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz. Sources told Fox News Nation reporter Al Bradley the agent hit a border gate at full speed. She tweeted it Wednesday morning. Fellow agents found him unresponsive and tried life-saving efforts, but he later died at an area hospital. What we do know is that he was 38 years old. He was a father of two, and his name has not been released yet, or at least I don't have his name. But what an absolute tragedy that we have this issue going on down there. And here, once again, we have another addition to the angel families. And in this case, it's one of our own Border Patrol agents. So to his family and his friends, I, for one, am very sorry that this administration doesn't give a damn about the border or what you guys do. But real American patriots do. We actually care, and we support you guys and girls. Biden makes no apologies for releasing the Merchant of Death, Victor Bout, B-O-U-T, in exchange for WNBA star Brittany Griner today, despite critics who say it was a poor deal. Even those on the left, the far left, the liberals, the Democrats are saying just the optics of this look horrible for several reasons. One, we're leaving behind a U.S. Marine veteran that is there. And instead of going for him, we chose her NBA basketball player who, by the way, hates America and thinks that America is nothing but a racist country. There are many videos of her and pictures taking a knee during the national anthem. Well, maybe, possibly now, she will not be so hateful against our country now that Biden has went and rescued her ass with this exchange. For, this is just very heartbreaking, a man who has blood all over his hands when it comes to going for the death of American service members and Americans in general. Kind of reminds me of what his predecessor done when Joe Biden was vice president and Obama was the president. And they released 5 known terrorists that were caught on the battlefield killing American troops for one Army deserter, which was Sergeant Birddog. And here we have Joe Biden making this deal. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre defended the exchange to skeptics reporting during Thursday's briefing today, saying the options were to either source Garner's release or no one. Critics have argued that Bout remains a dangerous man and was too great a prize to give to Russia. This was someone who had conspired to sell AK-47s that he knew would be used to kill Americans. American drug agents, law enforcement officials, and the such. What is this president's message to them and to others who say essentially that this was a bad deal? A reporter asked. Jean-Pierre acknowledged that immediate results in prisoner exchanges can feel unfair, but ultimately defended the White House position. The president felt a moral obligation to bring Brittany home. There was an opportunity to do that, and it was either Brittany or no one at all. And we're not going to apologize for that, Jean-Pierre said. Adding officials would continue to negotiate the release of a U.S. Marine veteran, Paul Whelan, W-H-E-L-A-N. He has been in Russian custody for 4 years and was sentenced to 12 years of hard labor for espionage. And we don't know what the hell he did, or why he was over there, or whether he was working for our CIA. Don't know. But what we do know is who this Brittany girl was. Anti-American, hateful person. Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy later pressed Jean-Pierre on why the deal appeared to be so lopsided in favor of Russia. And this prisoner swap, why did Russia get such a better deal? Doocy asked. Here are our choices. Our choices were Brittany or no one at all. Bring home one American or no American at all, Jean said. They gave up a professional athlete. We gave up a prolific arms dealer who was convicted of trying to kill Americans, who was called the Merchant of Death, Doocy countered. The professional athlete is also an American citizen. So let's not forget that, Jean-Pierre responded. Paul Whelan is also an American citizen. We can do this all day, Doocy said. Jean-Pierre said Biden would do everything in his power to secure the release of the Marine veteran, although Doocy pressed about how he could do that while refusing to talk with Russian President Vladimir Putin. We're still working to secure the Marine veteran. At this time, we're not able to make that happen. But that does not stop us. That will not stop us in making sure that he returns back to his family safely, she said, adding that negotiations take place through other channels than Biden himself. His brother, David, congratulated Garner on her release in a statement Thursday, but lamented the Biden administration's failure to release his brother. There's no greater success than for our wonderful detainee to be freed and for them to go home. The Biden administration made the right decision to bring her home and to make the deal that was possible rather than waiting for nothing to happen, David wrote. She will be reunited with her family. Brittany is free. and Paul is still a hostage. And how many more times do I need to write that? He added. Despite the possibilities that there might be an exchange without Paul, our family is still devastated. I can't even fathom how Paul will feel when he learns. Paul has worked so hard to survive nearly 4 years of this injustice. And for those of you who are unaware of what Brittany did, Brittany went to Russia and brought some marijuana with her. Not a good deal. Maybe you should, if nothing else, before you travel anywhere out of the country, find out what their laws are about things that you like to do. An elite Chicago private school at the center of a new project, or center of New Project Veritas undercover sting video, offers affinity group for children as young as 4 that white students are not permitted to attend. Fox News Digital has learned and reported on. Francis W. Parker School went virtual Wednesday after Project Veritas posted a video showing Dean of students Joseph Bruno speaking to an undercover reporter about LGBTQ sex education at the school. I had, like, our LGBTQ plus health center come in to the classroom, Bruno said in the edited video. They were passing around butt plugs and dildos to the students, talking about queer sex, using lube versus using spit, trying just like passing around dildos and butt plugs, he continued. And we had a drag queen come in and pass out cookies and brownies and take photos with the kids. The same school, which charges upwards to $40,000 in tuition, offers students of color a group called SOCA that meet once a month, that are exclusive for pre-K through 12, except white kids aren't allowed. SOCA is open to all students in grades JK 5 or through 5th grade who self-identify as a student of color and who are interested in participating, the school's website said. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that everything I've learned about my colors going back to kindergarten, white is a color. Yeah, it really is. If you Google that, it'll tell you as well that white is a color, just like black and brown and yellow and green and purple and you name it. While the SOCA group are only open to students of color through, let's just say, open to everybody but white kids. Okay, that's what it is. Let's just get straight to the fucking point here. Through direct international programming with the curriculum of the lower and intermediate schools, all students have the opportunity to consider their own racial identity and how it plays into their greater sense of self. While white identity developed is absolutely important to a child's development, we know there are a number of factors in a racial identity development process of young children of color that can benefit from direct programming in a way that differs from that of white students, it adds. The school's website argues that individuals in the United States are considering their racial identities as early as age 3, which is why these groups are needed for younger kids. Nikki Nally, founder and president of Parents Defending Education, slammed the group as immoral. Segregating students by race at any age is immoral. But to do so to 4-year-olds at a school that charges $40,000 per year, no less, boggles the mind, she told Fox News Digital. What you're actually doing is, by signaling out the white kids like this, not that I'd want my white kid, if he was at that school or she, to participate in your program, passing out dildos and butt plugs, but it's teaching them that the white race is bad And since you're a white kid, you're not allowed to go to all the different programs. Rather than teaching small, innocent children to be kind to all people, authority figures who these and their parents trust are instead teaching students to view all human interactions through the lens of skin color. Administrators at Francis Parker should be ashamed of themselves, and families should make their displeasure known so what this program may end, she added. When reached by Fox News Digital, the school declined to address the program or the group and only responded to the controversy surrounding Bruno. In a statement, the school appeared to confirm what Bruno said took place in the classroom and directed its criticism at Project Veritas, which it accused of misrepresenting its words. Now, I've seen the video, and I suggest that you look at it too and figure out for yourself if you think they're misrepresenting what went on. Last week, at an industry conference, one of our employees was targeted by a member of Project Veritas and misled to believe he was conversing with another conference attendee over a coffee, the school said. He was filmed without his knowledge or permission while describing one example of our exclusive LGBTQ plus affirming and comprehensive approach to sex education. Veritas descriptively edited the video with malice intent. Parker administrator and Parker's board of trustees supervisors Parker's program, the strength and exclusively of our curriculum, and the dedicated and talented facility and staff that teach it, the school said. Project Veritas posted an earlier letter, purportedly from the principal, Dan Frank, to the Parker community that accused the conservative group of malice intent. We are sickened by this group's depicted tactics, their invasion during a People of Color's conference, and their attack on the LGBT community, Frank's letter reportedly said. Look, take any human in America, anyone, and pass out, gather kids around to pass out and talk about dildos and butt plugs. And rather than use lube or spit, where would you end up? A, you'd go to jail. You'd end up going to prison, and you'd have to register as a sex offender when you got out. Well, unless you live in a liberal state like California or Washington State or Oregon. Now, they probably would high-five you. This is absolutely disgusting. School did not respond to questions asking whether the school will be offering further explanation of what took place in the classroom or whether sex toys have been introduced by school staff in any classroom with students present. School also did not respond to Fox News Digital's questioning whether it was the school's position or the group's decision based on skin color alone, and that it's not a racist policy. Well, I go on record and say that if my kid was at that school, I wouldn't want him to be a part of this program anyhow. Nor do I think most people would. I do believe that when parents that are paying $40,000 a year tuition to this school realize what their kindergartners were passed out at show and tell time, dildos and butt plugs, there's going to be some pissed off parents, as there should be. So I say it's very important, parents, that you pay close attention to what's happening to your kids in school. Minneapolis is going to pay protesters $600,000 after city police injured them during the 2020 protest over the murder of George Floyd, according to a recent settlement in federal court. The $600,000 award will be split among 12 defendants receiving $50,000 each. The American Civil Liberties Union of Minnesota, which led the case, announced in a press release. City police must also now record themselves at protests with body cameras and cannot disperse lawful demonstrations with chemicals, non-lethal projectiles, or any other physical force, according to an injunction concluding the case. This recent settlement isn't Minneapolis' first payout to protesters. The city also recently agreed to pay more than $700,000 in another lawsuit over police conduct, CBS News reported. Other cities have done the same. Austin, Texas, split $10 million between two protesters, and Denver had to cough up $14 million for 12 protesters earlier this year. There were at least 29 lawsuits pending nationwide over police actions in the 2020 protests, with the Associated Press reported in figures back in April. The murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer, filmed on a virtual video, triggered the largest protest in U.S. history. As they unfolded, footage of the protesters developing into a fiery riots became as common as videos depicting police officers gassing, beating, and firing non-lethal projectiles at seemingly peaceful protesters. This is reported by The Guardian. Let's get one thing straight. I saw the videos like most of you did. And these protesters weren't peaceful. The protesters in the daytime, for the most part, were peaceful. In the evening, when night fell, those people went home. And what took to the streets and started burning trash cans, looting businesses, busting in windows, setting them on fire, burning police cars, attacking police with rockets, homemade rockets, projectiles, Molotov cocktails, gaslighting them, throwing bricks at them. The cops used non-lethal force to disperse them. And for doing so, now they get rewarded. You know, this country's going to shit under Democrat leadership. Tear gas, foam bullets, and pepper spray became weapons for intimidating and hurting protesters, making it dangerous for people to exercise their First Amendment rights, said Teresa Nelson, legal director for the ACLU of Minnesota. Teresa, exercising your First Amendment rights does not entitle you to burn buildings, burn police cars, loot, riot, and hurt people, to include law enforcement officers, with devices. Why? You know, if I never step foot in Minnesota again, it'll be too soon. And why anybody would stay in that shithole state that has become a dumping ground for Antifa is beyond me. Went on to say that we hope this settlement sends a message to law enforcement across Minnesota that this violation of our constitutional rights will not be tolerated. In Minneapolis, recent settlements and specific circumstances of the protesters' injuries weren't clear because there weren't any. So they got hit with tear gas. They were throwing tear gas and Molotov cocktails at police officers. They were throwing bricks at cops. They were looting and rioting and just damaging, it was horrible. You saw it. It was all over our fucking television sets. We watched it happen every night, unfold. And we're rewarding these pieces of shit. That's what the Democrats are doing. And that's who runs the fucking state and the city. But they allege that their lawful demonstrations were met with tear gas and foam and rubber bullets fired without warning, leaving them with bruises, respiratory issues, and psychological trauma, according to the release. The alleged law enforcement's crackdown made them less likely to exercise their First Amendment right to protest in the future. Fucking bullshit. This matter is equally about relief and justice for our named plaintiffs, and it's about the necessity of preserving the rights of all concerned citizens to peacefully assemble, protest, and speak, said Amid Davis, a lawyer for another law firm that prosecuted the case. Until people are held accountable for their actions continue to do what they do. Until the price for your actions is too much for you to bear, you're going to continue to be a piece of shit in society. Period. I mean, that's just fact. And the more we reward these people, the more damage they're going to do. And people are going to get seriously injured, hurt, killed because of this silliness. It's just whatever. A whistleblower, former FBI agent, or an FBI, not former, I'm sorry, an FBI agent who's a whistleblower, testified yesterday that the federal agency met weekly with social media companies ahead of the 2020 presidential election to warn about disinformation and regularly sent lists of content of them to suppress, according to Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt. It's possible those warnings led to Twitter and Facebook's controversial suspension of the New York Post Hunter Biden's laptop story, which has been an enduring focal point of the social media free speech issue. FBI Supervisory Special Agent Elvis Chan testified on Tuesday. This was on Tuesday. I'm sorry, not yesterday. As part of a lawsuit against the Biden administration brought by the Republican Attorney General of Missouri and Louisiana. And I reported on this probably 3 weeks ago, I guess. The lawsuit alleges that the administration colluded with social media companies to censor free speech under the guise of combating misinformation. According to Schmitt, Chan testified that he and others from the federal government had meetings with social media companies to warn them about suspected Russian disinformation. The meetings became more frequent as the 2020 presidential election approached. So basically, let me sum it up for you what they actually did here. Anything negative about Biden or his family was Russian disinformation. That's what the FBI and the Department of Justice did, working with Twitter, working with Facebook, and this platform right here, YouTube. That's what they did. If it was something positive about Trump, they suppressed it. This was all happening to run up to the election. The Biden's campaign was actively working with the FBI to suppress all this information that was negative about him and his son, Hunter. That is a fact. We now know it as a fact. Not only is Elon Musk releasing the documents and the emails to prove it, and another batch, by the way, got dumped today, but now FBI whistleblowers are coming forward backing it up. The meetings became more frequent as the 2020 presidential election approached. Schmitt revealed that Chan said he was joined at the meetings by the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force and senior officials from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Chan testified that he personally warned social media companies of potential Russia hack and leak operation. Those warnings may have led to the restriction of the Hunter Biden laptop story. Twitter temporarily banned the Post story from being shared, but overturned its policy one day later. Facebook limited the spread of the story through its algorithms, which met CEO Mark Zuckerberg has said was because the FBI warned the company to be vigilant against the incoming dump of Russian disinformation. News outlets over the last 2 years have confirmed the laptop's authenticity. According to Smith, Chan also testified the FBI regularly sent social media companies lists of websites and accounts it suspected were part of the foreign influence operations and followed up to see if the companies had been removed. They also did that to individual people. I was one of them. And we're not going to go back into that again. The hell with Twitter. I mean, now that Elon's in charge, hopefully he's going to fix all this shit. But the people that were running it beforehand are a bunch of un-American bastards. Biden is renewing his push on taking away the scary AR-15s and AK-47s. He spoke yesterday to survivors and families impacted by gun violence. He delivered remarks at the 10th Annual National Vigil for all victims of gun violence. Biden spoke about meeting and praying with families who suffered during the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy, adding that they were able to turn pain into purpose. Specifically, he said, he was able to get the most significant gun laws passed in 30 years, but that isn't enough. Our work continues to limit the number of bullets that can be in a cartridge, the type of weapon that can be purchased and sold, the type to ban assault weapons, a whole range of things that are just common sense. Just simple common sense, Biden said. But you know, we did it before. You may remember in the 90s, we did it. And guess what? It worked. Guess what? It didn't. The number of violent mass murders reduced or significant. A lot of people's lives were saved. You know, we can do it again. In 1994, lawmakers approved the assault weapons ban as a standalone bill, which was authored back then by Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who was a congressman from Brooklyn at the time. Schumer said that the assault weapons were not made for hunting or target practice. Instead, he said, they're made simply to kill as many people as possible, as fast as possible. The federal assault weapons ban was originally in effect between 1994 and 2004 as part of former President Clinton's crime bill. Since its expiration, Democrats have been actively pushing for the ban to be reinstated. Continue on to the subject. House Democrats yesterday advanced legislation that would establish a federally controlled list of people who voluntarily agree to be blocked from buying guns. I'm going to repeat that. House Democrats yesterday advanced legislation that would establish a federally controlled list of people who voluntarily agree to be blocked from buying guns. The bill is aimed at preventing, are you ready for this? Gun suicides, which supporters of the legislation say is claiming the lives of more than 25,000 Americans each year. The proposal from Representative Pramila Jayapal, Democrat, Washington, and John Curtis, Republican, Utah, would let anyone who fears they might take their own life with a gun to enroll themselves on a list of people who would then be blocked from buying a firearm. I don't even know how. Think about this. First, who in the right mind is going to do this? If you've decided you don't want to live anymore and you're going to take your life, being on a list that the Biden administration put forward so you can't go buy a gun isn't going to stop you from killing yourself. This is just more stupid bullshit from the left that they think will help. It's not going to help anything. What you need to do is dump the same amount of money you're dumping into shit like this into mental health. Get people help they need. On Wednesday, the House Judiciary Committee approved the bill in a party-line vote after debate in which Republicans said the bill is still the latest attempt by Democrats to move the country towards a ban on firearms. Do we really need a federal statute to prevent a person to voluntarily to give up their fundamental liberties? Asked Judicial Committee Ranking Member Jim Jordan, Republican, Ohio. That's what this bill does. Mental health is important. We all understand that, especially if it relates to suicide. But this, I mean, really? This is what we're going to do. Jordan asked. I think this, again, is just another attack from the Democrats on the Second Amendment, he said. Representative Tom Massey, Republican, Kentucky, added that he is also worried that the bill might turn people into criminals if they give a firearm as a gift, if they get a firearm as a gift to someone who's on the list. During committee debate, Democrats said it is not the intent of the law to indicate an openness to fix it and ladder, but Republicans said the uncertainty of this issue is another reason not to support the bill. Democrats cast the bill as a critical tool for slowing the epidemic of suicides, more than half of which involve a gun. My bill will create a new tool that gives people experience the challenges, swings of mental health issues to have the power to proactively and voluntarily protect themselves by putting themselves on a do not sell list for a firearm, J. Powell said. Legislation requires the Attorney General to establish a list of people who agree to be blocked from buying a gun, which would be known as the Voluntarily Purchase Delay Database. I don't know this question. I'm just going to ask it. I wonder if once you're no longer suicidal, if you can go back and say, I'd like to come off the list now and get back my Second Amendment rights so I can go purchase a gun. The answer is going to be no. And the fact that they think that this is going to help, nobody's going to know. I want to, please, seriously, I don't want anybody to commit suicide. I've had too many friends that I served in the military with that I personally know. And when I was running Veterans United for Justice, helping veterans that were committing, that were suicidal, we haven't done shit to help our vets. Yet, we're going to come up with some kind of crazy ass thought that people that are suicidal are going to voluntarily put themselves on a government list to be banned from buying a gun. May as well add cars to that, add knives to that, add rope to that. Fuck, the list can go on and on and on. Stop them from getting anything that can help them commit suicide. I mean, that's how fucking stupid this is. But that's how they think. Okay? That's how the left thinks. It's nuts. It's insane. The bill also requires the AG to establish a process allowing people to have their names removed from the database. Those requests must be fulfilled within 21 days and must be accompanied by a declaration from a mental health professional who says the requester poses no risk of self-harm, which means you're not coming off that fucking list. Trust me, if you voluntarily sign up for this to have your Second Amendment rights removed because you are thinking of going and buying a handgun to kill yourself, and you think that by doing so will help you not do it,
you're never, ever, ever going to be able to come off that list. But Republicans warned it would likely be difficult to come off the list once someone is on it. We know that's going to be tough, Jordan said. You can be assured that getting your name removed from that database will be as difficult as possible and will be a deterrent for anyone to put their name on the list to begin with. The Judiciary Committee approved the bill in its uncertain state. The bill cannot become law until the entire House passes it. And it's not clear the House will find time to do that before the end of this year. Even if the House can approve it, it's not clear that 10 Republicans will be found to support it in the Senate. Thank God. Democrats in the Senate are already wrestling with how to advance some kind of gun legislation in the last few weeks of the year in response to a wave of shootings across the country. Look, I'm on record saying this many, many times, and I'll continue to say it. If you're suffering from mental illness, which many people are, if you're going to take your life, there ain't nothing that can be done unless you're put in a fucking padded room to stop it from happening. That's the sad truth of it. All right. Taking away AR-15s or AK-47s is not going to stop gun violence. Most people that are killed every day are not killed with AK-47s or AR-15s. More people are killed every month with handguns than the entire year of people killed with AK-47s or AR-15s. And if Democrats really gave a shit about gun violence, they would go into the major metropolitan cities across this country where it's flourishing like freaking rabbits having sex. I mean, it's nuts. Chicago, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Oakland, Memphis, Philadelphia. You get the picture. But they don't. They don't care. Why? Drum roll, please. Because it's black on black crime for the most part. That's who's doing the shootings. It's an epidemic. And nobody's addressed it. Not just Democrats, but Republicans haven't addressed it either when they've had the opportunity. And that's pathetic. You all have heard about the U.S. Marshal Air Program, right? It was established after 9/11. And it puts, basically what they did was they brought on board people that wanted to be law enforcement officers, because you are a law enforcement officer. You go through all the training for law enforcement, to include additional training for how to do so on an airplane. And the purpose of this was that they will be undercover. They'll be in regular clothes. They'll look just like a passenger. Nobody will know that they're an air marshal, that they have a gun on their body. And then if a plane gets hijacked, then they will jump into action and stop the hijacker. That's what the Air Marshal program was built to do. All right. Dozens of U.S. Air Marshals are prepared to defy the Biden administration's latest border security plan, which entails leaving about 99% of commercial flights unprotected to instead back up the overwhelmed U.S. Border Patrol agents. A career air marshal said plans to defy the Biden administration orders are approaching a mutiny by federal agents. The Washington Examiner reported that mid-2021, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, asked for volunteers from the Federal Air Marshal Service Office to leave their regular duties guarding flights and instead provide backup to the U.S. Border Patrol. Reuters reported that in October, fewer than 150 air marshals volunteered for a border rotation, and that the Department of Homeland Security shifted from requesting volunteers to assigning them to the border. In other words, you didn't have a choice. The plan to pull air marshals over to the southern border comes as the U.S. has been seeing record-breaking numbers of illegal border crossings under the Biden administration. Now, as air marshals are being ordered to the border, dozens of rank-and-file members have indicated they will refuse the assignments. An association of the Air Marshals, known as the Air Marshal National Council, recently sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and the FAM's director, Terrell Stevens, warning that air marshals will refuse the order to go to the border. The rank-and-file air marshals are going to refuse to deploy and risk termination. David Londo, a 16-year Department of Homeland Security employee and president of the Air Marshal National Council, told the Washington Examiner Tuesday. You're almost going to have a mutiny of a federal agency, which is unheard of. The letter from the Air Marshals Council, which they provided to the Washington Examiner, referenced two separate security incidents aboard commercial airline flights just this past November. In the first, November 11th incident, which was reported by the Washington Post, a man was able to get two box cutters through airport security and was seen in possession of the blade tools an hour into the flight. The flight was able to make an emergency landing, and the passenger in question was taken into custody without incident. The second incident, on November 21st, a man brought a straight-edge razor blade onto a flight and held it to another passenger's throat during the flight. An air marshal was able to put this person in custody. Under the Biden era plan to send air marshals to the border, it would shrink its presence on commercial flights down to just one in every 100 U.S. flights, leaving the other 99% unprotected. Which goes back to the whole thing, if you don't learn from history and learn from your mistakes, you're bound to repeat them. And we're heading right back to that again with another 9/11 in our near future, sadly, because people in power forget about it. Londo told the Washington Examiner that the air marshals who have been pulled to the border have been tasked with heating up sandwiches, driving immigrants in custody to hospitals, and standing hospital watch. Londo told the Washington Examiner that air marshals are willing to lose their job to defy what they see as administration risking national security. Well, there are things that I can't ever wrap my head around. The more I do this, the more it hurts me deep to my soul to see and hear and understand how one party has become so far left wrong in everything they do. A party that I once was proud to be a member of, the Democrat Party. And it took going into the military to wake up and realize and grow up, really, that this party doesn't give a fuck about us. And sure as hell don't care about the border. They don't care about racism. They don't care about, here, while I don't want to see this happen, I would support it. If the Border Patrol, matter of fact, you know what? After tonight's show, I think I will send a text message to a friend of mine that is on the board with the Border Patrol as one of their union reps, and suggest it. Maybe the Border Patrol should do the same damn thing that the air marshals are wanting to do. Say, guess what? You either help us fix this shit down here and come down here yourself, Joe, so we can take you around and show it to you, or we're just going to walk the fuck off the job. Yeah. Maybe that's what needs to happen. You know, one of the biggest problems we have in America that's out of control and it's unchecked is lawsuits. People get sued for some of the stupidest shit. All right. Some of it makes sense. All right. It didn't at the time, but it does later in life when you look back on it. I, for instance, remember very well when I was stationed over in Hawaii and I was on my way to work, and I went through the drive-in at McDonald's and I ordered a cup of coffee and like a sausage biscuit with egg and cheese or something on base. It was at Barbers Point Naval Air Station, is where they kept us back then with our Chinook helicopters, but they didn't have room up at Wheeler Army Airfield. And I set that cup of coffee on my dash, and it had a lid on it. And when I went to pull away from the drive-in, the cup of coffee fell over, and the top came off, and it landed in my lap. Now, I'm wearing a flight suit because I was a flight engineer on Chinooks, and those things are made out of Nomex, and they're supposed to help prevent you burning up in a fire, for instance. But let's just say that it hurt enough for me to go to sick call. All right. What I never thought about was suing McDonald's for serving me a hot cup of coffee. Never crossed my fucking mind. I mean, that's insane to think that somebody would do that, or that a jury would reward them money in the millions of dollars if that happened. But it did happen. A few years later, an elderly lady sued McDonald's because the hot cup of coffee spilt over on her and burned her. That's why today at McDonald's and many other places did the same thing. On hot cups of coffee, on the coffee cup, it says hot coffee, some kind of caution, because of that lawsuit. And this woman got millions. I don't remember what the actual figure was. I think it was like $1.4, $1.5 million. So I could have been a freaking millionaire back then. But my brain didn't think that way. How can I take advantage of a company for doing something that they're not responsible for? I'm the one that spilt the cup of coffee. I'm the one that knows that it's hot freaking coffee. But this jury rewarded this money to this lady. So I read this story and I laughed at how stupid it was. And I thought that I would share this with you all because it just goes to prove the ignorance we have here in America when it comes to this lawsuit bullshit. When you want to microwave shells and cheese, you don't want to waste time fooling around. Apparent time-strapped woman, Amanda Ramirez, says she wouldn't have purchased the Velveeta microwavable shells and cheese cups if she had known they would have taken longer to be ready than the 3.5 minutes stated on the box. Wait, there's more. Ramirez is the lead plaintiff in a proposed federal class action lawsuit against Kraft Heinz Foods Company, maker of the product, of violating state and federal laws against deception and unfair trade practices, fraud, false and misleading advertisement, breach of express warranty, negligent misrepresentation, and unjust enrichment. The suit was filed on November 18th in U.S. District Court in Miami by William Wright of the West Palm Beach-based firm, the Wright Law Firm, and by Spencer Shaheen of Spencer and Associates in Great Neck, New York. Ramirez purchased the product, a box of 8 2.39-ounce cups at locations including a public supermarket between October and November of 2022. Among other times, the suit states, adding she paid a premium price of $10.99. A graphic printed at the bottom right corner of the front of the box states, ready in 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes is the amount of time the product needs to cook in the microwave, the suit says. But more time is required to complete the 4 steps needed to get it ready to eat, the suit said. Quoting the directions on the box, the suit says, first, customer... told myself I could do this without laughing. This is hard. First, customers must remove the lid and cheese sauce pouch. Next, they must add water to fill to the cup line and stir. Third, microwave uncovered on high for 3.5 minutes. Do not drain. Finally, they should stir in the content of cheese sauce pouch. The complaint adds that the directions then note that cheese sauce will thicken upon standing. Consumers seeing ready in 3.5 minutes will believe it represents the total amount of time it takes to prepare the product, meaning from the moment it is unopened to the moment it is ready to consume, the suit states. Suit does not state how much time Ramirez actually spent getting her cups of shell and cheese ready to eat. The suit also claims that the $10.99 price is higher than similar products that are represented as a non-misleading way, and higher than it would be sold for absent and misleading representation and omission. Kraft Heinz Food Company did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit. Ramirez, the suit states, is like many customers and consumers who seek to stretch their money as far as possible when buying groceries. No, that's not why she's doing this. It isn't to stretch her money. Well, it is to stretch her money, but it ain't got shit to do with this fucking Kraft cheese. She looks to bold statements of value when quickly selecting groceries. The suit said she paid more for the product than she would have paid and would not have purchased it or paid less had she known the truth about the ready time. Ramirez intends to buy via microwavable shells and cheese again when she can do so and assure its representations are consistent with its abilities, attributes, and our consumption, the suit states. These are people that vote and that walk among us. Asserting that the class of victims is likely to number more than 100, the lawsuit seeks damages of more than $5 million, including statutory and punitive damages, plus interest and cost. Lawsuits accusing well-known food companies of making misleading marketing statements are no stranger to South Florida, where this is at. In March, 4 plaintiffs were named in a proposed class action lawsuit claiming Miami-based Burger King portrayed sandwiches in their advertisement with meats specifically larger than the consumer actually gets. Burger King countered the plaintiffs' claims are not those of reasonable customers who know that food looks different in the ads than in real life. It reminds, I actually, this is back, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. I was at a Waffle House and I ordered whatever, all right? And when I got it, I mean, it looked nothing like what was on the picture on the menu. And most chances are you're not going to get something that looks like that. Okay, it's staged that way and pictures are taken, because that's just the way it is. And I took a photograph of what was on the menu and what I actually got. And I posted it on Facebook just for people to laugh at because it was fucking funny. All right. Never thought about suing Waffle House for it. Not in a million years, for misrepresenting themselves. Going on, the company contains its meats are as large as advertised. The lawsuit is ongoing. In 2018, two South Florida McDonald's customers were named as lead plaintiffs in a suit claiming that dining room customers were improperly charged when they ordered a quarter pounder with cheese and asked the staff to hold the cheese. Cheaper cheese, less quarter pounders are available for purchase for 30 cents to 90 cents less through McDonald's mobile app, but not when ordering in person, the lawsuit claims. A judge dismissed that case, saying the plaintiffs failed to establish that they were entitled to relief for their unwanted cheese based on any of the three standards they claim McDonald's violated. Thankfully, a judge threw that out. That's how stupid this shit is. That's what's happening in our country. And these people vote. Anyhow, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here for me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and ring the bell. Also, go check out my YouTube channel, Charlie Hotel 47. It's not political at all. It's just educational things of places that I've been able to witness and go to across America and the country or the globe, and to share with our youth. I hope that's what you will do with it. So go there and subscribe as well. Check out DouglasDucote.com, the website, if you haven't already done so. Also, with Christmas coming up, if you have some conservatives or Republicans in your family and or people that like this show, you'll find some great stuff there in the shop that you can purchase for your family or yourself for that matter. It makes great Christmas gifts. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. Folks, I'll see you next week. Unless something breaks between now and then, I'll put out a video about it or do a live show about it. Otherwise, hope you all have a wonderful and blessed Friday tomorrow. Thank God it's Friday, and a wonderful and blessed weekend. Be safe, whatever you're doing out there. And thank you for joining us tonight. And as always, here at the Douglas Ducote Show. And once again, a shout out to Sherry Ann. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night. And thank you for everything you do for us, you and your husband, for our show, along with our other moderators. I appreciate them very, very much. Without them, it'd be difficult to do this show. In fact, we'd probably be shut down because of all the crazy liberals that pop into the chat section trying to stir up shit. It's just absolutely insane. Anyhow, thank you all. God bless, and I'll see you soon.